Hello, everyone. Welcome back again to the T.O.A. podcast. I am your host, Onvermel, and if I get to 100 subscribers, we will bury an Anua in the dirt for your viewing pleasure, and we may not dig him up for quite a while. Who knows? Maybe when we get to 222 subscribers, then we'll... Did I say 100 subscribers?
You did say 100 subscribers.
Okay, I thought I said 100 views by accident.
Okay, I know you said 100.
If I get to 100 subscribers, I will bury Anua in the dirt. So, like and subscribe, if you're listening to this and you're not already. But, getting the plug out of the way, which is more of a... Is it a plug or a promise?
Oh, now we're draining the water.
Draining the water?
You pulled the plug out of the way, so now the
water's
going down the drain.
That's just a bad pun. But, for those who might have been listening to last week's podcast with myself and Zach, we were talking about basically really the best parts in mocks, or... In that general, we're talking about parts from mocks. We talked about some bad ones that are difficult, and the best ones. And honestly... Zach and I are probably going to have a part 2 of that because we were both saying we have so much more to say about that. But today we're not going to so much talk about that, but about parts and their names. Which, well, let's be honest.
The Bricklink naming system is usually what we go off of. But not this case.
For Technic.
No.
When it comes down to system, we will go by the 2x4 brick.
Originally we would call them like thick bricks. And thin bricks.
Thick bricks and thick bricks. A 4-length thick brick or something.
I need a 4 long thick. That's a 2x4.
And then plates were flats, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
And so it's like, system eventually, once we did a lot more Bricklink perusing...
Slowly saturated our language.
Well, we read it, and to make it easier looking it up, like we would say, looking for this on their plates, and we just adopted that language. However, Technic and Bionicle... Okay, at least specifically Technic... very much did not follow that same trajectory. One, we didn't look up Technic much.
No.
Almost not until recent years. And two, have you ever described it to a 1x5x3 lift on flat with curved ridge, or some of them have
too descriptive.
There's so many pieces that are so similar.
That you have to be very specific in the description of what it is.
And they don't have the same sort of thing where it's a brick. It's a slope. Like you have lift arms and connectors and just Technic and pins.
We don't know where to throw it, but you just throw it in Technic.
And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of Technic pieces that we do use names, like the proper names like lift arms usually, but not necessarily fully because
it's a lift arm, yes.
Flat.
But we don't say a 1x2 half lift arm. No, we still call them flats.
Flat
or
lift
thins.
Arm. I think with those ones we still would say half or flat lift arms.
Sometimes.
Depending, or...
I think I would still use the term thin.
Yes. But the biggest way that we often use to know what we're going to use or build and using names, sorry, I had some Pepsi and I've got some hiccups. My apologies, Pepsi, please sponsor. Is I just got distracted. I was just looking at your shirt, and your shirt looks like the castle equivalent to Pepsi. Now that I think about it.
By golly gee, you're right.
No one's going to get that, but that's fine. But when it comes down to Lego pieces, we have to have nicknames because it was just easier. And
also, we didn't know the Bricklink correct term at the time because we didn't look at Technic pieces.
So we often just used how we would associate that piece. The best, most well-known either set to have it, or our only set with it, or our first set with it. One prime example that I like to start off this list with is one that we mentioned in the previous podcast with Zach, or I mentioned in the previous podcast, was the T.O.A. hand.
Also known as a Technic axle connector perpendicular or something like that.
But now, you may say, but for those who are in the know for Bionicle, you might say, but there's two kind of T.O.A. hands. Well, let me explain it quickly. The first T.O.A. hand is used on 4 of them, where it's the actual one that has the actual axle connected to it, because back when we were younger, the only sets we had them with were the T.O.A. and then the Borg Von Toa. But essentially,
Pohatu had one in his neck.
But the T.O.A. had 2 in their hands. Yes. It was their hands.
And one in their back, it's or sometimes one in their neck as well.
But it is their hands. You see a T.O.A. hand, nothing else can be confused with that statement.
There's literally only 2 choices.
T.O.A. Doom, I guess.
Until T.O.A. Doom came on and kind of messed with the system.
But speaking of that second choice, you may be thinking, what do I call that? Well, again, if you watched the last podcast, we nicknamed that the Nokama hand because, look, we could have called it the Nuju hand.
But we didn't have Nuju.
At least us younger brothers didn't.
No.
And so we associated that one with Nokama. We could have called it a Vakama neck if we really wanted to, probably.
Or perhaps a Kopaka shoulder.
A Kopaka shoulder thing might have been a little too wordy.
A Tahu shoulder thing, or a Pohatu leg sticker. You see how clunky these
But
are?
no camera hand, you say no camera hand, boom. Give me the one with those black no camera hands that's probably going to break after a few uses. Give that here right now. And it's always like, that was a really easy, like, Turaga hands were basically, I would say, our most universal piece that we refer to it as, that we never get this confused about.
Now, since, like, the Turaga were our very first Barnacles, and in a way, kind of our first Technic sets, a few other pieces got Turaga names, like the Turaga hip,
The Turaga body.
the Turaga body, yes, even Turaga arms.
Turaga belly button.
See, a lot of Technic pieces are named after our honored Turaga.
What I need to do is make a diagram of a Turaga with all the different names. Either as a thumbnail or just as part of the video. But again, like, the Turaga arms is an interesting one because, okay, there's the Turaga arm piece, the Turaga leg piece. How about the other kind of, those pieces, the T.O.A neck?
The T.O.A neck, yes.
Now, but the other angle, like angle 4, angle 6, we might call Turaga arm right angle or Turaga arm angle 6. We might.
It's not a Technic connector angle 6.
It's
It is
Turaga
a Turaga
arm.
arm angle 6.
And I think we might refer to T.O.A necks occasionally by accident as Turaga angle 1.
No, it's
I
a
think
T.O.A neck.
No, it's a T.O.A neck.
It's a T.O.A neck piece. Even.
But there's Turaga arm angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, and angle 6. But they're all Turaga arms because, again, as you were saying, those we associate with Turaga. And you could say Borg Vob, but we had Turaga first, so they get dibs. Naming dibs.
And, like, did we have any system sets with it beforehand?
Not before them.
No.
I think my first set to having the closest type of piece to that was Shadow Crawler? What's this extra first set called?
Shadow Crawler.
Shadow Crawler, where I had the angle 4s in line, which I
They
broke
broke.
those. Those were my first line casualties. That was very sad. And it took me forever. For a long time, I had Turaga arms, like actual angle 5 Turaga arms in there. And eventually, I think, do I actually have the proper ones? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you
I
do.
assume I do. But, you know, the Turagas got a lot of, and even occasionally, I think at one point, we did refer to the T.O.A heads as Turaga feet, jokingly, occasionally. Give me some Turaga feet, will ya?
Well, when you're referring to a colored one,
It's a Turaga foot.
not a Turaga head, it's a Turaga foot.
If you've got a brown Mata head, that's a Turaga foot. Give me a brown Turaga foot.
Yes. Maybe a brown Turaga head or just a brown Mata head, but it's usually a brown Turaga foot.
Now, luckily enough, with our naming ways, like most...
Like,
Now-
even when you
now-
sometimes refer to the eye color, it's like, I need Vakama's eyes. Not necessarily Tahu's eyes. I need Vakama's eyes.
The pink ones, yes. But now, this is where things get different, because in this early days, these were like these were ubiquitously bionicle parts in our minds. You know, even though they were technically Technic parts, a lot of these parts were designed, I think, for the Turaga. Just some.
A lot of most of the parts we
Variants?
described were already existed before the Turaga.
I think the body might have been designed for them, maybe.
Possibly.
Because I don't see any
could
Cyber
the-
Slammers or anything like that.
Yeah, the Turaga body.
And maybe the
might-
belly button piece.
Yeah, we'd have to.
But
look it up.
essentially, you know, for us, these were ubiquitously bionicle parts, so it wasn't really a
Because we didn't
problem.
have
So
any
giving them
Technic
bionicle
sets.
names, such as like a Tonu shoulder, or a Turaga hip, you know, a Borg Vob foot, you know, a Poatanuva neck piece. These are pieces that we just assumed they were just bionicle. Now, eventually, as we got older, we got more Technic. And as Lego made more Technic parts, that's where things got more, how we can say, interesting, I guess, for us. Because if I ask you to describe to me a clover piece, what would you fan base like to think that is? What is a clover piece in Technic?
Let's be honest. It's a very well-known Technic piece, or rather, its bigger brother is much more well-known.
Its bigger brother is more well known.
Well, you know, the clover piece has the two round things with just the axle one.
Yes.
The more well-known is the two round things with the longer.
Yes, two round balls with a shaft. Yes.
Exactly.
By the way, to do this podcast again, I will have pictures of all these pieces, at least for the main ones I'm talking about, so you will understand exactly what piece we have. Because if you look at the clover piece, it's a 3-leaf clover to some degree. Like, that's what it made us think about.
We have a slightly cleaner mind than most, I would think.
Well, okay, we do call the longer ones either big clovers or we call them dick pieces.
Yes, but I say slightly cleaner.
Yes, we only have one of them as the wiener piece.
So, if this is the clover piece, what does that make this piece?
Well, if you see on screen, that is the anti-clover because it connects with the clover.
Exactly. It's like they're one and the same. Now, most people would probably call that like the female one or something, but no, to us,
It's clover and the anti-clover. Because trying to describe, because if you still have the anti-clover, the clover, the wiener, the mega wiener, you know, there's enough variations of these pieces that how would you describe them in a pinch when you're building with your brother next to you? You pass him one of these pieces. You give him nicknames that you guys agree on, or just you mention it and you go, hey, I know what you're talking about.
There's been a couple cases. I don't remember any specific times that this happened, but I'm pretty sure I never mentioned something to you like, I need this piece.
I think
you knew exactly what I was
think that's
talking
what the clover came from, is you just mentioned the clover piece.
Yeah, because I think I started referring to it myself.
You definitely used it first, and I adopted it, and then any piece around it kind of got similar names. So clover's kind of like the de facto.
It was the first one to got a name, and the anti-clover was this, but the opposite.
Well, then, like, got other technical pieces that we associate bionicles because of Pohatunuva necks and Rahaga necks.
So what does that make this last piece with, like, no pinhole and 2 axles?
Double Pohatunuva neck, I think? Or
no, it's a double Rahaga.
Right, a double Rahaga neck. I think that's usually what we stick on. I do think it hasn't stuck the same way as nicely, but I think at this point, there's nothing else you would think of as a double Rahaga neck. So, now we want to get to one piece that makes a bit more sense in Bionicle. The Hordika neck.
Yes, the Hordika.
You could say it's like more of the Hordika brain stock or the Baraki neck.
It was designed for the
Hordika.
Hordika, yes. I literally, we were just talking about the word, and then I lost it. But yes, that piece was literally designed for Hordika, and still in use today. It's one of those Bionicle pieces that has survived.
Yeah, so, these are a lot of these, some characters that very much have rooted in either the set we had, like the Rahaga neck and that pin and axle perpendicular axle Technic connector, because of the Rahagas had in their neck piece, so that was obviously a Rahaga neck.
Now, there actually is one piece that the Lego company officially agrees upon with us.
Oh?
The Bionicle Eye, or the Borak Eye.
Because it came out with Boraks.
It's literally called, like, the actual item piece name is, like, Bion Eye. Or Bionicle Eye.
Yes.
We might just say Borak Eye, I guess.
The Borak Eye, yeah. Or
I guess
Bionicle Tooth. I think occasionally I might say Bionicle Tooth. Like a gold tooth,
I need a Fenrak tooth. Yeah, it's kind of a tooth.
It's because it looks like a tooth piece, but the Borak already have a tooth, so I think I tripped over saying Borak Tooth a lot with it. That's not what I wanted.
Yes.
So, there's obviously certain problems with that.
Actually, speaking of Borak, there's another little piece, the little pin with the ball on it.
The Borak pin.
It's a Borak pin. Because...
A ball pin?
We had lots of Boraks, so we had lots of these pins.
It was the only set that we really had them with, honestly, back in the day, for the most part. So it was pretty standard. I mean, we never had a nickname for it for many years. I think we just called it from the pin that holds on the elastic band, because we didn't need it. So we didn't use it in our vocabulary,
No, not really.
So, there's... and then, you can just refer to, if you want a blue pin axle, that's just the blue pin. Or a blue pin axle, you just...
Well, a blue pin might mean a 3-long pin.
Yes, but if you say a gray pin, you want just 2 long. You don't need to specify 3 long unless you want a 3 long.
Exactly.
At least,
there are gray pins, too. So I usually say pin axle.
I think we do more now.
It's always pin axle, not axle pin.
This is axle pin. That's pin axle. It's pin axle. Pin axle.
It's pin axle.
Pin axle.
You need a pin axle?
I want a pin axle.
Oh, I got a pin axle or 2.
Oh, my brain was trying to think. I had another piece that was coming to my head that we had a nickname for. Oh yeah, Robo-Rider head.
Oh yes, the Robo-Rider.
Even though not a printed head that the Robo-Riders used for their headpiece, as long as that shape, it is a Robo-Rider head.
I mean, that's literally was invented for, but Bricklin calls Technic Block 3x5 by 2 or something.
There's a lot of random Technic blocks. It's a Robo-Rider head through and through. No way
there's the robot head to go with it, and the robot visor to go on it.
Oh, speaking of basically parts that, because we got a set first of what got its name from Pohatu hands.
Those are Throwbot shoulders or Throwbot hands, but
or
we call them Pohatu hands.
We got him first with Pohatu. He had 2 of them, unlike Tahu or Liwa, so they were Pohatu hands. Very odd. You could refer to it as a T.O.A hand. I think now
a T.O.A hand, yes,
is acceptable, but typically it's we see when it's
your first T.O.A was Pohatu. I had a Tahu before Pohatu, but you had your Pohatu first, and Pohatu has 2 of them.
It's iconic to Pohatu.
Tahu has a sword. So, Pohatu doesn't have any weapons, so his hands are the weapon.
But if you're feeling that Liwa got a little shafted in all this, don't worry.
Don't worry, he did not.
He got his own piece named after him, after his fingers.
The Technic Axle Connector.
That's his Liwa finger.
There's also new Liwa fingers.
New Liwa fingers and old Liwa fingers. Because again, one of the most when you're building Bonicles, we didn't. It was like you could say a rock. I think we did something that's referred to as a Rockshi tourney piece. Tourney piece sounds like something like a dark gray Rockshi tourney piece. But then we refined it just saying Lewa finger. Not Lewa fingernails or anything like that. It was a Lewa finger because it was like, oh, these are fingers that are unique to Lewa.
And by virtue, there's kind of like more of a 3-long version that doesn't have the pinhole. That's a toe and neck piece. No, this 3-long version, that's just an extended Lewa finger.
That's also too new for us to really have a nickname that we needed to use.
But I still think of it as, if I had to describe it to you, I would say an extended Lewa finger.
That would get the measure across me really well. Now, what about the pin version? What do you call that? Because I stick with it calling it the rolling pin. The 2-length one, not the 3-length.
Oh, yes.
Because the reason why I call it the rolling pin piece is because our older brother made a Lego rolling pin using that piece, a couple half pins, and a...
I'm pretty sure they saw it online.
Online, yeah. But it's like... Because that has stuck in my head for so long, and I could have called it a pin Lewa finger, but a rolling pin piece for me is just clean. Easy.
It just rolls off the tongue better, yes.
And because it's such an inside reference, it's such an easy thing for us to all instantly know what we're talking about. Oh, usually, I think sometimes I say it to Zach and he gets a little bit more of, huh, what? Oh, yes. But that could just be not fully paying attention because honestly, we just kind of talk over each other and not paying attention half the time.
And while we're on the subject of pins, in 2006, we kind of got some Paraka that had a new kind of pin piece for us.
It did?
The Paraka spine holder.
Oh, yeah, the 2-link pin with axle connection.
Now, this piece definitely existed before, like the Mohawk and Connie Raw Bull had it.
It's just a Technic pin.
But to us, the first sets that we got with it really was the Paraka.
Well, we had a couple... I think before the Paraka, we did refer to them as Metronui weapon holder pins.
I suppose, yes.
We did... They had them there, but the Paraka...
launcher.
But again, because not all the Metronui had it, it wasn't as ubiquitous, but every Paraka had the same pin holding on the spine. So you say Paraka spine holder... It was just, again, clean, easy. It was like the T.O.A hand all over again. You knew exactly what piece you were talking about. There was
rolls off the tongue.
There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, there's one piece that's had a rename.
Oh.
The 5.5 length axle with stopper part way.
The Metro chest stick.
It's either the Metronui Heartlight stick, the Zamor axe stick. We never had a really good one. They kept floating around, but then we learned about it was a Snap
piece.
It's a snap piece. So now we call it the snap axle or snap stick.
Snap stick. I need the snap piece. I need the one and only snap piece to still survive.
I need the death stick. Like if there's any Lego piece I would refer to as a death stick, it would be that piece.
Yeah, I could see
I think
that.
Metronui axle, like chest axle, was the one we stuck with most. But like I said, because it came out with a snap, you immediately have started to refer to it as the snap axle. It takes a little bit for it to click in my head when we say that, but it's new, it's different. And then, another axle that we don't call this anymore, but we used to call the 1x3 with stopper and stud at the end, or just the 1x... Well, that's the stud axle.
Yeah, stud axle. It's a 1x3 with a stud on it.
But
it's a stud
we can't call it a 1x3 stopper because they actually have those now.
Yes.
So I think we just refer to them as stud axles, or dark blade stopper. I think it's a stud axle we call them. I feel like
no, I don't think we call them stud.
Not anymore. We used to.
It's hard to actually tell. It's not like we don't really build with each other anymore because we don't live together.
Yeah, back in the day, we really had our Lego room in the same place, so a lot of times we'd be building. It'd be easy talking about. We'd be building Bonicles in the living room. Be like, "Do you have this piece?" Now it's like, yeah, like I said, we would say 1x3 stud axle or axle with a stud.
It's an axle with a stopper. That's what they are.
But I do think
I'm not sure of what Bricklink actually. Then maybe Bricklink calls them that.
Possible, and we might start using that. Oh, also instead of axle stoppers, piston axles. It's a very specific length. It's a 10 length with a stop, 8 length with a stopper at the end. Because we only had those with Titans.
That's literally what they were invented for, though.
And for a long time, that's all we had them in do. Like we had maybe 1 or 2 extra outside of it.
Well, I think it even took a year or two for really Legos to actually start realizing. This stopper at the end of the axle is actually really useful.
Yeah, when they stopped doing flick fires, or even with flick fires, they started realizing stoppers were getting useful.
Well, even just for building things and making them stronger, having this just axle shove in that way. It definitely took Lego a few years to clue in, we can invent shorter ones for this too.
But like I said, there's a 3-length of stopper, there's a 4-length of stopper, there's a 5-length of stopper, and then there's the Titan axle. Or the piston axle, sorry. Tripping over my words, but piston axle, because again, what other piece would I possibly be talking about? It's the piston axle.
There's one piece that like a fair number of Titan sets have that I just every time if I just see the description of Bricklink, I'm always like, what the F is this piece?
And what piece is that? The Titan?
The Matoran hip.
Oh, the Madame Matoran hip piece.
Yes, the Madame Matoran hip.
What does Bricklink even call it? I wonder.
Some sort of like
Is it a lift arm or
no,
a
it's
connector?
Not a lift. It's a connector. But the name just always throws me off. I just connect.
It's a Matoran hip.
It's a Matoran hip.
Because again, we only had them from those sets and honestly, for a long time that was like one of the few sets that actually had them. They were designed for the Matoran, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Technic saw it. I'm like, I'm gonna use that a lot.
Unfortunately, they haven't used it enough though. I do not own enough black. Ever.
It comes in a fair bit of black, but it's such a useful piece that it commands fairly high prices.
For the side of pieces.
And the fact that a lot of Bionicle Titan sets use it, so people are trying to piece it together.
Yeah, but that piece in general, it's like, again, the Matoran. I mean, also the Madame Matoran, you had, Matoran hip, the Matoran butt, the Madame Matoran chest, you had...
I mean, certain pieces, like the butt piece, was only ever
Matoran butt. Well, they're the only Matoran with a dedicated butt piece that was unique to them. Everyone else had, like, sockets in their hips or an actual butt
They didn't really have an ass.
Actually, every other Matoran...
When you think about it, it's kind of more their spine.
Yeah, but it has a butt cracked on the bottom.
It's kind of their butt and back.
It's butt, back, spine. It's basically like a little cradle for them. It's a Matoran cradle. But again, Matoran butt. No other pieces of Matoran butt. That's the Matoran butt. There's the Vaki butt and the Mechanui butt. Mm-hmm. And then there's another butt.
Well, there's also like just the chest piece of the Matoran. Came with the Matoran first, but I think we referred to more of a Vaki chest.
Now, because you say Matoran chest, you go, which Matoran? There's a few things that can refer to Matoran chest.
There's a Matoran chest.
So, yeah, but so it's like, that's one thing about when certain a Bionicle piece gets used in a couple things. You say a Roxy waist or a Vaki waist.
Yes.
Because
Roxy back could refer to like 3 different pieces.
No. There's the Roxy back, the Roxy
Strata
holder, and the Roxy spine.
Yeah, but the actual spine.
That's so the spine holder, the backbone. You have to say the backbone for that one specific piece, I think.
No, we call it the Kreka.
The Kreka head. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Roxy Kreka piece.
The Kreka spine. I think I call it the Kreka spine. Because it's a Roxy spine that belongs to Kreka. Because it's
not in the spine, like spiky spine, but as in your spinal cord spine. Yes. As you can see, we have a very nuanced way of referring to a lot of different pieces. But like honestly, like some of those technical ones, like the Clover, the Anti-Clover, Rahaga neck, Platonuba neck, Troga hands, and Troga arms and such, like those are like the big ones where it's like, you talk to other LEGO fans and they will look at you and go, and even to Bionicle fans, you say, can I have a Troga hand? They might go, huh? Just because they're not expecting it. Or maybe,
at least we think, we don't know.
Or maybe other Bionicle fans refer to them as Troga hands too. I need to watch a bunch of Bionicle YouTubers do some reviewing mocks to see if they mention these pieces or not.
Thing is, just because they're on YouTube, they might be, using the more technical, accurate terms.
Debatable.
I wouldn't know. I don't watch other videos.
I don't... I've watched a lot. Like, I used to watch a lot of Ben Kazi, but not so much anymore. Also, with non-technical terms, T.O.A gears.
Ah, yes.
You got T.O.A gears and T.O.A big gears.
A big T.O.A gear and a small T.O.A.
Yeah, exactly. These are the ones that were designed for the T.O.A. And then there was... Every other gear is just a gear. Now the...
Even like axles, like a 5-long axle, was kind of referred to as a
T.O.A.
A T.O.A hip.
Borokai axle.
Or like...
I
need a 6-long axle, that's like a T.O.A neck axle.
Well, I remember the 4-length axle we referred to as Mechanui T.O.A Metru axles, I think.
T.O.A Metru shoulders sticks. We call them sticks.
Oh yeah, we used to call them sticks back, Mechanui shoulder sticks. Oh gosh. I forgot how we didn't use proper terminology back in the day.
Something that we actually have used the correct term are like bushings.
Yeah, because what else were we going to call them?
Yeah, we never really stuck on a name.
So when we learned bushings, we're like, okay, this works.
Okay, sweet. We have a name that's simple and easy.
Half bushing, bushings. It's great, simple, clean.
I don't know what bushing means, but it works for this.
There's a piece very similar to a bushing, where it's not quite a pin bushing. It's a bit shorter. It's small at the end.
Yeah, because it sticks on.
I call the X-Force gun piece.
And I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because the only sets we had were the tips of two X-Force sets had the tip of their guns.
No, it was literally one X-Force set that we both owned, because I owned it first.
No, well, Sensei Fortress has it too.
Well,
that was my other
set. The first set was one that I owned and you owned.
And I still don't... The piece is used with like other technical builds, and it's supposed to be used in conjunction with other parts. I still don't know the name of the piece or how it's used, but to me it's the X-Force gun piece.
Now, a piece that's similar to that is more of an actual bushing. It's just pin bushing. We call it the duct tape piece.
Because it came in Dark Blade first and looks like a roll of duct tape.
Especially when it's in metallic, the silver color. It's like...
But because for a while it only came in Dark Blade, we just kept seeing duct tape. So if it came in all these colors all at once, we might have not referred to it as duct tape.
I think we still would have as soon as we saw Dark Blade or...
It's possible, but it might have been overruled by just pin bushing, for all we know.
Yeah, I might still use pin bushing.
Or half rolling pin.
Yeah, any of those, like, I think we could
have. But duct tape's the best one.
It is the best.
It's like, you could...
Really
I'd love to go to like a Lego convention and be like, excuse me, do you have any duct tape pieces? And just see them have the future facing things like, does he saying I want to duct tape my pieces together? Or...
What?
That's why, honestly, like... But again, like I said, like, it's just about what makes it easiest to communicate of what you want.
Now, obviously, a lot of Barnacle-specific pieces, like limbs or armor, you obviously refer to the first set they came with, like the Metru upper leg armor.
Okay.
Or the Metru shoulder armor.
Zach and I were talking about this last time. What do you refer to as the Poitou arm? Do you call it Poitou arm, Throwbutt arm, Roxy arm, Kapaka shield arm? Because I think this is the one that has the most...
I think you would think of it first as a Throwbot arm.
Because you say Poitou arm, you know exactly what I say. But the thing is, if you say Throwbot arm, the Throwbots also have their throwing arms. So do you say Throwbot leg, or do you say Roxy arm?
I think...
That's the thing is, because the thing is, saying this with Zach and I, we realized that like we have several ways, and I don't think we've ever stuck on one. Because if we want a dark gray, it's a Roxy arm.
Yes, pure and simple, dark gray equals Roxy.
If you want a tan, it's a Poitou arm. Pretty much, it's your. And then if any of the others, I think, are Throwbot arms.
If it was like an orange one, the one came with the Vizirac, you would say, I need an
orange Throwbot arm.
Orange Throwbot arm, or an orange.
But if it's a dark gray, you just say, I want a Roxy arm.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. That's a Roxy arm.
Like the Roshki lower leg. You need a dark gray, you say, I need a Roshki leg. But if you need a black, you would say, I need a black Roshki leg. Even though black came with, like, Rudaka first.
Yeah.
It's still a black Roshki leg.
Also, the shape of the piece,
dictates what you call it, usually.
Well, and then, and there's, like certain pieces where it's, like, biddle wings.
Yes.
I don't know if that's what we usually call our Xella T9 shield. Biddle wing came to my mind first, but I think I call Hanatu shield more than not, honestly, lately. Because that's
I need that really expensive yellow piece from the Titan match.
Ah, yes, the big yellow expensive piece from Jet Tracks T6 Special Edition. Yes.
Yes, I need one.
But I think because Hanatu used that as a shield, that I think for a while we were calling Hanatu shields. Like we were just calling them Hanatu shield because you could say biddle wing, but because Hanatu was always in front of us, or hand shield.
It's Hanatu shield.
Hanatu shield. I'm not sure but again, I call it biddle wing off the cuff, so again, I don't...
I had to actually, when you said biddle wing, I was like, wait, what is biddle's wing?
Oh dear. I guess it's been a while since you've had a biddle flying around your house. Your infestation is gone.
Canister. He is stuck in at least I think he has a canister. No, or does he? He's either in a canister or in a box. I don't think I have a canister. Oh,
but near there's one last piece I think that the nickname that we used is one that a lot of people use, and that's Hero Factory limbs. We don't call them CCBS, that's too wordy.
I don't say I need a number 6 CCBS limb.
I need
the shortish
one. I need a short Hero Factory limb. I need the Hero Factory arm, lower arm with one axle hole. Because it's like the CCBS, first off, is just wordy. Doesn't flow off the tongue, but Hero Factory also came out with Hero Factory. And so all the armor are Hero Factory armor. The armor we do usually lengths, but there's like the fatter Hero Factory armor, the chest Hero Factory armor.
Yeah, there's so many different lengths. You sometimes do have to. I need to look at the back. Number 4.
We just look it's like, it's 4 length. But the limbs definitely, it's like, can I have the Hero Factory upper limb double socket?
Yes.
Where it's like, again, it's all Hero Factory. But though I think that one is one that I think most people can agree with, and definitely, I think, use the same. Because I remember when CCBS was when they came out, I don't think I really did not pick up on CCBS, and everyone just like dunked on the system and called it the Hero Factory system. Anything like the superhero Marvel and DC characters, they were using the Hero Factory system. Even Ben 10, I think, was touted as using the Hero Factory system.
Even though it was mostly new molds.
Or wait, Ben 10 came out before Hero Factory. Because they used some Ben 10 pieces in the first wave of Hero Factory. Okay, I'm wrong about that one. No one called that Hero Factory. So what else? Something else used Hero Factory that wasn't
Star Wars?
No, but like before that, but after DC, I feel like there's something else.
Chima.
Ah, yes, the Legend of Chima Peel. They used Hero Factory stuff. So.
Yeah, they're HF builds, you know.
Yes. See, if I had every Lego piece in front of me, like every Technic piece in front of me, I could probably go through them and give you all a nickname for a lot of them, but
since they're not in front of our face, we're just kind of giving you the obvious, most notable ones that we can remember.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like if you get especially older Technic pieces, there'll probably be more unique nicknames, such as Flare Wings.
Yeah, Throwbot Skis.
Throwbot Skis. I'm not going to tell you what Throwbot Skis are. I'm just going to let people figure that one out or that one for themselves because I find that funny.
I mean, there is a Throwbot named Ski. It's a bit of a dead giveaway as soon as you see the picture.
Well, yes, but that piece is a Throwbot Ski. Said and done. But again, we have come to the end of this podcast. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Again, if you want to see Anua buried in the dirt, get me to 100 subscribers and I will bury a real Anua in real dirt. Yes. No scam. It will happen for your viewing pleasure. And as always, thanks for everything. And we are retiring from the night.